Okay, so little backstory before I tell you this. I'm a 6'7" male in Australia. I would like to think I'm a fairly tough and intimidating guy. But some of the shitty that used to go on at the mall I used to work the night shift for still gives me goosebumps to this day. So the mall I worked for was very, very large. Probably the largest in my state, I would say. And all the way up to about 8:30 p.m. I would still be quite busy. Only around 9:30 will we manage to usher all the stragglers out, and only about 11 would all the business owners have left. My job was basically to patrol the mall and make sure there was no one sticking around after the doors were closed during the night. We didn't have guns or batons, only a can of mace that was very rarely used. There were multiple occasions where we would find would-be thieves hiding around, trying to break into shops after dark, but they were normally far outnumbered by the 4 to 5 of us on shift at a time. And they would usually be intimidated by me or some of the other imposing members of security. This one night though, shifts started getting really weird for me on the night shift. So, I would say it was about 2 o'clock and I was standing in the middle of the empty food court eating a sandwich. This was the only part of the mall that had any light at night time due to the skylight. So it was comfortable to eat. While I was eating though, I heard a dull scraping noise from the hallway leading off from the main food courts, and to some of the toilets it sounded like a piece of metal dragging across the floor. I was immediately put on edge, and I flipped on my torch without a moment of hesitation. I can remember creeping down the hallway, flashlight in hand, illuminating a good 6 or 7 meters in front of me. As I got closer and closer to the end of the hall, the noise became louder and louder until I was at the end of the hallway, and that was the toilet doors to the left and to the right of me. I could tell the sound was coming from the female toilets though. I gripped the handle and opened the door, a tiny crack, and the noise was now very clear and had me not scared, but confused. I yelled, "Hey, who's in there?" The noise quickly stopped, and I paused a moment, listening hard to the tiny crack of the door. I swear to fucking God, I could hear breathing, low male breathing. I shut the door, still gripping the handle tightly, and flicked on my radio. "This is 1-3. I need help in food court's bathroom. I think someone is here." No response. This was really strange and it put me further on edge. Policy was to always answer the radio, and now I was truly becoming quite alarmed. "This is 1-3. Does anyone copy?" Still no response. I can remember whispering to myself, "What the actual fuck?" I again opened the door a tiny crack. "Listen, mate," I said, sounding as intimidating as possible. "If you don't fucking come out with your hands up, you're gonna end up eating your teeth tonight. Do you want that?" I sat there at the door quite honestly terrified at this point. But there was no response. In fact, now there was no noise at all. I yelled into the bathroom, "Okay, mate, I'm coming in. If you do anything stupid, it's not my fault. You will never walk again." I tried my hardest to sound scary, but my voice was quivering at this point. This whole situation made no sense at all. Why would someone be in the female bathrooms? What was the mental noise? What the fuck is even happening here? I very slowly opened the door and scanned my flashlight slowly across the room. All the cubicles were open, which was weird. But other than that, the whole room was totally empty. I was totally shitting myself about now. I was definitely losing it. I walked into the center of the bathroom, closing the door behind me, scared to the core. A lot of faint. This is some horror movie shit. Come out. When I heard the long, whining squeak of the door behind me, I spun around, basically crying at this point, and shone my torch on a fucking massive man. At least a head taller than me, or so it seemed in my state at the time. He was Caucasian, at least in his 40s, with matte gray hair all over his forehead. He was meant opening the door, but I stopped dead still in the middle of his action. He just looked at me smiling. This guilty fucking smile like a kid would make when he gets caught stealing biscuits or some shit like that. I'm not going to lie, and I was so scared I froze. He lifted his finger up to his mouth before swinging the door open all the way and sprinting out with what looked like some small metal box in his hand. Turns out he was just behind the toilet door when I was opening it, and I totally missed him. I was so fucking close to him, and I didn't even notice. He would have killed me if he had a knife or something, and that thought still haunts me to this day. Later that night, my radio miraculously started working again, and I got right onto telling my coworkers about my story. They collectively went pound when I told them what happened. They all had similar stories, but none that were as much of a close shave as mine. I worked the night shift for another week after that, before I quit. I'm not sticking around in a job like that. I used to work at a small hotel, and the manager there told me a terrifying night shift story. It was about midnight when she got a call at the front desk from a man. He said that he's with his 8-year-old daughter who dances competitively and needed advice on what she should wear. She gave him some basic fashion advice. He asked my manager, "What about fishnet leggings? Do you think those are too sexy?" Then proceeds to talk in graphic detail about how he thinks his own daughter has been trying to seduce him for weeks, and how he is starting to enjoy seeing her dance in these cute outfits. Meanwhile, my manager is looking through a computer system trying to figure out who this man is so she can call the cops. However, the room he was reportedly in was empty. The man ends up hanging the phone up before she could find out where he was truly calling from. A couple of months later, at around 11 p.m., my manager answers the desk phone. A familiar voice asked her if she could help him pick out an outfit for his daughter's next dance recital. She asked him, "Let me guess you want to know if she should wear fishnet leggings?" The man immediately hangs up the phone.